Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm talking about the solo play in Rallyman GT. And no disclaimer needed for this one. I've been really interested in Rallyman Dirt, which is currently on Kickstarter, so I wanted to try out the core game before I decided to pledge. So how did that go? Did the solo play in GT make me want to buy into its muddier brother? Let's find out and get to the list. Point number 5 is a con right off the bat, and that's the fact that if you buy this game for solo and play the official rules, you can only play in a time trial. Now, don't get me wrong, playing time trials is still a ton of fun, but some of the best mechanics in GT, some of the coolest things, are about overtaking other cars, so without them on the track, it can feel a little bit empty. But if you're the kind of gamer who doesn't mind throwing a bit of fan variance in the mix, you can turn this con upside down to a pro, because there are 2 really solid AI car systems on Board Game Geek. I've played both of them, and my playthrough features one of them, that let you play with other cars in a really smooth way. So then suddenly solo opens up completely, but if you only want to play the rules as written, you're not going to get your full value here. Point number 4 is a mix that could really vary from con to pro based on your preferences, and that's the need to set up a track with individual tiles. On the positive side, the fact that your tracks are made up of hexagonal tiles instead of a lot of racing games which just have set boards gives you tons of flexibility. First of all, people have recreated like all of these famous speedways on Board Game Geek. You can just go check them out and set them up. And you can also make your own tracks, having as few or as many turns as you want, playing around with things. It's pretty cool. But on the negative side, digging through all of your track tokens, especially when you're trying to build a specific one and you have to look for the letters and get them in the right orientation, can be a bit of a beast and take a while. And with this being a lightning-fast racing game, sometimes you're going to wish you just had a board to throw down the table. But now I'm going to get into the core mechanics with my number 3, which is a pro in this case, and that's focusing on the focus tokens and the choice to go flat out or not. To explain what I mean, once you've figured out your trajectory of driving for the turn, you have a choice to either roll your dice one at a time and stop whenever you want to really control your speed and make it almost impossible for you to crash, or you can go flat out and roll all your dice at the same time, which could really penalize you, but also rewards you with focus tokens that then let you mitigate your dice luck later. So by taking risks early, you set yourself up to control your fate as you come into the final lap. And this is, simply put, a really great risk-reward system. I like the choice of which way you're going to roll, which dice you want to lock, using your resources early rather than late. And even though I gave time trials kind of a hard time at the beginning of this review, they actually have a more interesting use of the focus tokens because every one you don't use subtracts a second from your time, so the choice is even tougher of what you want to do with them. But this all leads into my number 2, my biggest con with the game, and the one that has made some of my friends not want to play it anymore, and that's the fact that you can crash sometimes and lose sometimes what feels like 2 entire turns. Both thematically and mechanically, you have to have crashing in a racing game, or the whole risk-reward push-your-luck aspect doesn't work. And going back to my third point, if you choose to always roll your dice one at a time and not get focus tokens, you can make it almost impossible for yourself to crash, although you're probably not going to go very fast and probably won't win. But the thing that makes crashing really turn into a con for me is that the penalty is so harsh, and sometimes the randomness can just really not go your way, and once it does, once you get that stupid roll that should never have happened based on probability, you are done. Your time trial is trash. You're out of the race, far behind the pack. It just feels a little too punishing when the randomness strikes. Now, you'll have many games where it won't, but when it does, not so fun. But despite all that, I am going to end on a pro, because I love the way this game uses dice, gear dice, and coasting dice, and break dice to have you kind of puzzle out your way through a track and jockey for position and get through turns. To be clear on what I mean, the core movement mechanic of Rallyman is that you have some dice based on your car and the weather conditions, and you move one space for each die you put down. But your dice have to go up or down your gear track, or you have some other dice you can use to kind of throw in, and turns will require you to be at a certain speed or lower, and especially with really tricky tracks, or again with the AI cars, the choices here, the tough tactics, finding that perfect line is just a ton of fun, and even though it is a game of dice and tokens, it really makes me feel like I'm racing, and I just love it. Overall, I think Rallyman GT will be polarizing for a lot of players. Solo isn't so great unless you're willing to include some fan variants, and even though the risk-reward choices are really cool, crashing is just terrible and can ruin your entire day. But if you can move on from that and just realize that sometimes the track is not going to go your way, I think Rallyman GT is excellent. It is definitely one of my favorite racing games of all time. I've been playing the pants off of it, both in the actual board game and also on Board Game Arena, which has a silky smooth implementation. So I'm certainly happy I purchased Rallyman GT. I'm definitely backing Rallyman Dirt. And hey, if you want to see me play through GT, both with the official time trial mode and with some AI cars, check the link that just popped up. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.